Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, or whatever it is where you are. We are streaming the Senior Synth stream again, and today it's the 4th of May. Most people will talk about Star Wars, but here in Denmark and in Holland it's a special day. It's 79 years and half an hour ago that Montgomery announced that the German troops in Holland and Denmark had surrendered. So it's a special evening where we put lights or candles in the window. So it's not a Star Wars night here. It's a celebration night. But welcome to the Senior Synth stream. We have a few guests. We have Per Götz. He's a Dane. And you saw him last time when we talked Superbooth. Welcome, Per.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we have Howard Scarr.
Hey.
Howard. Hey, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Just using a new my regular work computer this time. It seems to be better.
Yeah, it sounds good. It does. So it's better than last. And then we have David.
Hello.
And is it Cleo?
Yes, it's Cleo.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we do have 6 guests tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. And how's your week been?
It's getting better now that we're gonna have some fun. So I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah. And we also have Andy.
Hey, everybody.
How's your week?
Hey, Andy.
Feel great now. I just woke up after the Ramsey show, so had a nice little nap. Feeling pretty good. So
yeah. Your life is all about being awake when there's someone streaming, so you can be on.
Or my own stream, I'd rough and late. Yeah, just stupid.
Yeah.
Whatever. So.
Yeah. You stream all day if
Almost,
you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good stream, so
Thanks. Yeah.
it's not a
Good
bad
to hear.
thing. Yeah. Today the topic is AI, and I don't know where to start. Should we start with Per? How do you define AI, or that's a big question. Yeah, let's start with you and let's hear what you have to say.
I think. I think. Therefore, I am. It's quite hard because what is the real definition? When you send me the question, Henrik, I was it's like, what is algorithms and what is real AI? And I thought that this discussion should start with a definition of the terms of AI.
So define. That's a hard one.
Sorry.
We could ask a chat GPT to define it.
I think there's just a technological difference between that and the expert systems that we had 20 years ago already. And it's, same kind of thing, really, practically.
Yeah, there's assistance and there's some automation
Ah,
things,
yes.
which is very simple. And then you get into stuff like once neural networks came into play, then it totally changed the game. So
Have you read up on it, Andy?
a long time ago, but I've been using some of the tools lately, like some of the music tools and video tools and audio tools. And after the large language model recent stuff and neural net based stuff, it's pretty impressive. Like Songsmith came out in 2009 by Microsoft. That was pretty primitive, but you could basically choose like, I want to make a song that's in this key, has this feeling like jazzy or happy or something like that, and a few other parameters that are just friendly English words, and then just go, and it would generate music for you. And you can choose
Is
the
it real
tempo and
music?
stuff. Well, some of it was actually pretty good, surprisingly, but it's kind of doing everything for you. But then you come fast forward to nowadays with programs like Udio and Suno and some of these other things made by former Google engineers and stuff who worked on some more primitive tools like Music LM and stuff like that. They're basically making real music that's clearly derivative because they have a learning set of real music people already made, right? Which is why they're going to be
Can you
rotating
inject?
forever.
Can you inject, say, a chord structure or anything into it?
Yeah, well, because it's prompt based. You can say the funny thing is they're not allowed to use a band name or an artist name at all because they don't want to. They're totally avoiding lawsuits, even though they're going to have lawsuits eventually. So you have to go in there and describe the type of music you want. So
You can get very specific, I suppose, and then suddenly you will get.
yeah, so you can say like, I want reggae, I want this tempo, I want these instruments included, just in case it forgets what that means by reggae, and you want this and you want that, and then a few extra descriptors, and then say go. And then some of these can do it within half an hour, some do it within a couple of minutes. And what you get is sometimes complete garbage, like it's not music at all. And other times it's pretty damn impressive. They had a demo where they were trying to prove that I think it was Udio, was using real music models, which means they're stealing music from other people, right? To base it on. And they basically made an ABBA
Excuse me,
song.
Pat, can you mute your microphone for a second? I think it's you.
Yeah, there's noise in the background. They described a song as very much like an ABBA song, and then it created an ABBA song. And they played them side by side and go, wait a minute. This is clearly you learned from an ABBA. You can't say you didn't learn it in a vacuum, right? So, and the graphic stuff is just as bad. You know, artists are being stolen left and right. I made a Mid-Journey thing a while back of a comic, kind of an obscure thing if you're not from America. It's American Mad Magazine comic magazine. And there was a comic strip there called Spy versus Spy. These two crow-looking guys are always trying to kill each other. So I did a Spy versus Spy inspired by Magritte and Dolly. And I made some of those gorgeous work that look like Spy versus Spy with those guys' things in it. And it's crazy.
I'd love to see a Furry Freak Brothers version.
Exactly, yeah.
In Dolly style.
The stuff's incredibly good, but then it can't do basic things like fingers on hands. Like you have four
and keyboards,
or black and white keys get all messed up.
Yeah.
So some patterns get lost. Other things are done very well. So it's
if you could chat the some good freeware music.
Oh yeah, I'll mention some
AI
stuff at the very end, or I can put it in the links, show links or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
I have some things I want to show too. I was about to prepare it, but I wasn't. It's here. Let's see there. Boom, boom, boom. I have to share the screen there. Add stage. There. This is audio. Where you can do some AI with songs. I think I will make it full screen. And then I will go in there and show some demos I've made, and later I will show how to make them. So this is one of them.
Well, we can't hear it.
Sorry, wasn't there any audio?
No.
Strange.
No audio.
No audio. That's strange. Okay, I'll do it from another computer then, and then we'll find out. So please keep talking, then I'll find out.
Well, okay.
Turn the audio or.
Yeah, the only thing I use really is Chat GPT and also DeepL-Write, I think it's called, just to give me examples of writing style that are different from mine. It sometimes helps. And a thing called Topaz Photo, I think it's called.
Topaz Lab stuff's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their video upscaling is amazing.
I haven't got the video, just the photo one, and it's very good for old photos. Doing them up. Very, very good. But music, I'm very skeptical about it because I've heard a few things very impressive on the surface, like a Depeche Mode thing. Sounds just like Dave Gahan, and but there's something uncanny valley about it, so far. But yeah, I would like to use tools for songwriters, so you can put in an idea and get some kind of rough sketch of what your voice would sound like singing that song without you having to use a microphone or anything. Just a quick.
Perry, have noise.
It's a nice vision.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got noise from you again.
I said it was a nice vision.
It's a nice vision.
Vision?
Yeah, vision.
Or fishing.
Fishing is nice too, but
I mean, AI can be incredibly useful too. I had a video shot at a local mall recently, and it's got radio playing on the whole time. So while I'm streaming, I'm thinking, oh great, I'm gonna get copyright claimed the whole thing, or they're just gonna yank the show. So I got marked on a few things, and the one that triggered everything was Genesis Throwing It All Away was playing on the air. And that one got the official claim where it got blocked in several countries, but not in the US. And so there's a new feature in YouTube Studio now where you can basically say, you can either snip out the offending region, you can mute the entire thing, or you can mute the audio and leave your other sound intact, mute the song, which I was skeptical about, but I did it, and it took like, I don't know, 4 hours online, whatever the back end was. But you go watch it now, it's perfect. The audio's still there, you can hear me talking, and there's no song. So it's amazing stuff, really.
I'd like to see it used in medicine and other, even, jurisprudence.
Like any tool will be used for good and bad, so.
Yeah.
I would like to see if it works now, but I just heard some echo, so I have to go back here and mute this if I can. I don't know if I can. Well, we'll just try to see if it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So can you hear anything now?
Just you talking.
Nope.
Okay, then it doesn't work.
But as a support function, AI is a wonderful tool. Just like transcribing or cleaning up audio. I heard some audio tracks that was recorded very, very badly because they were recorded on a mobile phone.
Yeah. Or that Beatles thing. There's a lot of AI used there, apparently.
Yeah.
To clean up, to separate voices. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is very, very, very impressive.
Or you could, get it to analyze a Rubinstein concert and play it with a good piano and good audio, things like that.
Well, like those isotope tools, they're like a primitive AI where you can clean up audio and de-reverb stuff and all that. It's very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Sure.
De-reverb.
De-reverb is amazing, and also de-clip and de-noise. I mean, all those things are just like
yeah. I love that isotope stuff. Well, RX. Yeah.
And you get weird artifacts when you push it too far, which is also kind of fun sometimes. Could be a sound design thing,
Yeah.
But even going way back to like a Hartman neuron, which was neural net based for its sampling analysis and synthesis generation. That's like a primitive AI as well. So you can also use it for creative stuff for synth.
The neuron was a victim of that would be awesome kind of thinking. Where they think, oh yeah, if you morph between a piano and a choir or something like that. And it just didn't work as well as they thought it would.
I actually really enjoy it. The problem is it was not marketed well, and the base unit was too expensive. The software is pretty cheap.
And it was a Linux PC with a fan.
Basically,
which is not a good idea.
Yeah, so they're all like getting replaced because all the PCs inside are dying. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Shelf life.
Isn't there a free version today?
The Mac version is supported for free on Facebook. There's Neuron VS. Yeah. Stefan Bernsey, one of the guys who worked on it, runs the group. It's very cool, actually.
Oh, I'm going to check this out.
I still use it. It's really great.
On PC.
The PC one's available still, but it has memory leaks and it's older. It may not work on modern Windows, but it's out there. You can get the PC one also. Stop putting your hand on the thing. God damn it!
I've got to let my cat out. I'll be back in a second.
Oh, my audio is on. Good. I have tried to export some of the songs I did on Udio. So now I only have to import them here to the stream session so I can play them.
Did it take about half an hour on there? I have to hear how long it takes on Udio.
To render, it takes a minute or so.
Really? Okay.
It's not a long time. There are other places there that are much more slow.
Yeah.
It's importing now, so I can play something soon. Yes. I really don't know what it is I'm playing, except that I've made it. So let's try.
The Hartman was a fucking great synthesizer. And way too
Per, can you hear the music? Are you muted?
Sorry, I can hear it. It's too low.
It's too low. Okay.
No, not
okay.
too low, but it's low.
Okay, I can turn it up. I have written the lyrics and made it with different artists, and that's the results.
Watching the senior synth stream, enjoying what I see and all I have seen. Watching the senior synth stream,
The sultry synth stream.
watching the senior stream, enjoying what I see and all I have seen.
Watching the scene synth stream.
Yo.
Enjoying what I see and all I've seen.
Yo, what's up?
Watching the senior synth stream, enjoying what I see and all I have seen. Watching the senior synth stream, it's old Götz with sins and dreams. Watching the senior synth.
Okay.
Watching the senior synth stream, enjoying what I see and all I have seen.
Yeah, that one was a bit dead down, wasn't it?
Watching the senior synth stream, enjoying what I see and all I have seen. Watch
Yeah.
got it that time.
Yeah. So that's what's possible today. I can't write Dave Gahan or Depeche Mode, then it will change it to some text instead, because they are trying to protect against using artists. But it still adds some text, so it sounds like that artist.
That's what I was saying. If you describe it well enough, it will clearly make something close enough. That's why they busted them on that ABBA thing. They said you clearly put ABBA in there as a language model thing.
They
right?
could actually
Yeah.
they could actually make up some voices that are complete nothing to do with them, with existing artists.
Yeah.
And use them as by preference.
Yeah.
That could work.
You and I think about it in many ways. It could both be a bad thing and a good thing, because when an artist is long gone, wouldn't it be nice to hear something new from that artist? Even though it isn't that artist, it should just be announced that it isn't the artist, but an AI.
John Lennon
But
springs to mind. Yeah.
Yeah,
But just like Star Wars characters, speaking of Star Wars Day, when they put the Grand Moff Tarkin in there and Leia as 3D characters, you know, that not only did it not work well, but I don't think they even got permission for some of that stuff. I don't know, I can't remember. But then it's like now you have to have a clause in your contract for your likeness for perpetuity, right? Because people could steal your image and make money off you long after you're dead.
Well, if there's enough money to be made from an artist, let's say John Lennon, I'm sure Yoko Ono would accept a couple of million.
Oh,
You know?
she would totally do. Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't care. Yeah,
Probably. But the bad thing is that an artist can be abused. Nobody sings like Dave Gahan, and now some does. There are some bands, Forced to Mode, and some other cover bands that does it well. But no known artists.
Well, they always had those kind of imitators like B-Movie and what's the other one from Germany? They did The Great Commandment.
Yeah.
They totally sound like Depeche Mode. Even singing.
I love.
So they're
them.
imitators all the time.
I'm probably going to see the Analogs in Frankfurt. You know the Analogs?
No.
Oh.
They do amazingly precise Beatles colours.
Oh.
Check them out on YouTube. The
There's a group
Analogs.
called Fab Four does that too. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Where they recreate.
I've heard
all
lots of
video
Beatles
tricks and
tributes,
stuff.
but they used the same instruments they had in the 60s.
Well, these guys are
You
also
know,
doing all
they
the studio
bought the
stuff
organ,
live.
they bought the Lowry and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
They're adding all the stuff, all the George Martin flourishes and stuff. They're doing that as part of the live show, which is crazy, right?
Yeah. What are they called again?
Fab Four, F-A-U-X.
Fab Four. Yeah.
By the way, Andy, the band name was Camouflage.
Camouflage, that's it.
Yeah. But what would you say, Howie, if someone made a cover of one of your songs?
Hvor er din fejrer fødselsdag med de vildeste priser?
Per, mute your, yeah.
That's AI taking over the thing. So.
Yeah. You're muted, Howie.
I think
And you're
stuck.
frozen.
Yeah.
You are freezing all the time.
Sorry, I had my mute on. I can imagine an upcoming artist would not like to be plagiarized as soon as they start making a bit of money after a lot of work to get where they are.
They interviewed Rick Beato recently about AI stuff, and he said he thinks in about 2 years there'll be an AI top 10 hit.
Sure, there will be, and it'll be Japanese or Chinese.
Or I mean, this kind of stuff, modern pop in the U.S. or U.K. or whatever. It's getting so easy now to just type in something and not create something.
I totally agree.
But hey, Steve Elbows.
Hey, Dave, have you used any of these music tools yet? These weird music tools?
I'm just soaking this in, man. I got to tell you, if I was 25 or 30, I'd be horrified because we've done this. We've set this up, right? We've used tech so much, we've relied on it so much that now, this next step, right? We can sit there and say it sounds a little artificial, whatever. The jump it's just made in the last year or two is dramatic. So it's going to make another jump, and my guess is a significant amount of artists are not going to be able to compete with it. They're not going to sound quality better. The whole production thing they've been obsessed with. So you got a whole generation now. They're all producers, right? They've been sitting in their computers trying to make these really cool sounding, they've been sitting there with their EQs and everything, and this thing's going to knock them out. It's going to be 95% of what they did. So we're in trouble. No, we are. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to debate it.
When they can do Bob Dylan or Tom Petty or something like that.
Yeah, but what you've done now, you've got this big pie, right? We just lost another chunk of it. we want to believe that it's going to grow. And now here's the catch-22. If we grow it, that means we have to churn harder, right?
Yeah.
That's the setup that Spotify wants. So if we want to try to get the pie bigger so that we even stay in the game, we're going to work ourselves to death.
Well,
right?
Even artists are guilty of this. David Bowie in the 90s made a thing called Verbicizer with some guys to help write lyrics. So it's like an early ChatGPT.
I don't disagree with Howie, but what Howie's doing now, whether he realizes it or not, is that he's taking the most thing farthest away from AI, right? The last piece, and saying,
on purpose.
But they're not going to get Bob Dylan. So I absolutely agree with you, but to me, that's so. Look, I don't know if I care. We're all probably at an age that we're probably going to be okay with it, right? We had our run. We got to live in a relatively good, relatively fair environment, but and I guess to answer your question, Andy, no, I don't really use it much.
But you use Isotope, right?
Yeah, I probably am
mastering
using
tools like Ozone.
Yeah, I'm using it, but I'm not clicking the thing that says, do you want to use AI?
Yeah.
So I think it's cool. I think my biggest, if this means we're just going to go faster and do more output, then all I want to know is what are we going to do with that time savings, right?
Yeah.
Like AI is going to give us time savings. What are we going to do with that time? Are we going to hug our kids? Are we going to become better musicians? Because if we're going to do 10 songs versus 6, then thumbs down, right? If we're going to do something better with that extra time, thumbs up. I guess that's where I am, And a more
scary too is even without the neural nets, there was a guy in the 80s made this program called EMI, and it was analysis program for audio, and he was recreating Bach stuff. So he would take a JS Bach piece, run it through there, and then it would create like this amazing copy of JS Bach, but new. It wasn't the same thing. It would evolve it a little bit. And then he did one of his colleagues or somebody did a demo taking an original piece, a piece he had written in the Bach style, and a piece that EMI had created in Bach style, played it for an audience, and they picked the AI one as not even AI, it's primitive stuff, but they picked the fake one as the real Bach piece. It's terrible.
Well, maybe he wasn't the greatest composer, this guy.
Well,
no, the program created the thing, and people fell for that as the Bach piece.
Oh, I thought you said he actually wrote one as well in the.
He did as well, but they didn't even look at his. The one that won was the fakest one, which is scary because that means not only is the audience not really discerning, but the tools are getting better and better and better. So.
Yeah, we've got to factor in the lack of taste of the audience.
Of course,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's where, party could just say, hey, who cares, right? I mean, if you're a pessimist and I'm just playing somebody else, I don't care. Most music sucks anyway, so let them make that sucky music. So I get that. I just feel bad for the people that are trying to make a living making music, right?
Oh, sure.
That's the only ones I really empathize with.
This Udio thing is actually backed by some rappers. I mean, there are a couple famous rappers who are backing it. I'm like, well, you guys are, whether they're phoning in as well, like they have ghostwriters or something, they're giving it away so more people can create music out of nothing, right? With no talent and no time spent, and
it just gluts the whole thing, right? And I think that's what we've all been getting frustrated about. It's saturation to the max.
But the question is, should we get frustrated? Shouldn't we instead think of the people who use these tools? Because the tools are not going to go away. They will evolve and get even better at what they're doing. The problem is the users who doesn't use them the way we want them to. So shouldn't it be about education, about like having an hour each week in school where people learn about living together and having empathy and all that stuff? Shouldn't we move that way instead? Because the tools are there. We cannot move away from them. We cannot.
But think of the famous phrase: "Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely." And this is a version of that, because nobody's going to go, I don't want to put any effort in. I don't want to go to school for this shit. I just want to do it. And it's going to do an amazing job as long as my prompts are decent or somebody helps me with the prompts.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are guys who are using AI to make pieces, and then they make a song with those samples and build it a part of their whole song. But most people are just going to phone it in. They're just going to type it in and go, there's my song.
Mm-hmm. There was some famous artist, Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's fairly bland music. And, what's the word? In German, Nachschema, schematic music. And that could be rolled out, one song every minute. So where's that going to take us?
Like when drum machines came out, people thought, you're going to take all the drummers' jobs away. It's like, well, not
you can make
machines.
It's a different dimension than drum machines or mellotrons.
Oh, totally. I mean, that was the early demon, was the drum machine is going to steal your
Well,
job.
yeah, you're right. It was. And drummers, I mean, but it did take a lot of jobs.
But guys like Phil Collins embraced it. He used the 909 and whatever on his albums along with jamming along with it. So,
but because drum machines, they never actually. Drum machines did something interesting. They actually gave us, and maybe this is the Henry. I mean, it gave us something different. Actually, something that didn't sound like a drummer. So it was like this perfect kind. It was cool. Like you could do, because it, there's been crossover, but really, I think we kind of said, okay, these genres are drum machines. These genres are not drum machines, right? And then we got the blend. AI, I guess, is that what we're going to get? Are we going to get like folk music? And then, but I think AI is going to be able to do it really good.
Well, I've done hybrids on Music LM. I mean, the rendering didn't sound good, but it was funny to take folk and metal and a few other elements and see what comes out. It was crazy, right?
Well, that's the worst thing. It's that it can do crazy too. Yeah. So you think, well, we're just going to be noise artists now, right? And release on cassette. But this daggone thing can do noise too. It can be weird. In fact, it does weird really good. I'm
imagining Frank Sinatra and the Cardiacs.
So we will get some fun. I hope people use it like that. See, what I don't like is the bland, let's try to sound like Depeche Mode. I'm like, no, that's exactly what we don't want you to do.
Most of we're going to get, unfortunately.
Do something wild with this stuff, right?
Because if you approach this thing as a non-musician and you just want to create music without effort, then of course it's going to be derivative, right? Because they're already not being creative.
Maybe we'll learn to tell the difference.
I hope so.
That's a good. That's a good point.
Maybe get into more the Bob Dylan side of things. Well, not particularly him, but acoustic music.
I mean, there's been generative music around for a long time. It's part of some video games. It's part of art installations, things like that, and that's algorithmic based and kind of semi-random generated with some rules, right? And that's interesting. It doesn't have to be horrible. But if you're just going to give it to the average person, I want to sound like, this punk band or this rock band or this techno group or whatever, they would just have more of the same crap everywhere, Be very sad.
Well, dance music, it's going to crush, I think.
I've already done some with it. It's easy.
Yeah, it's gonna crush.
I'm just like, this is. I mean, it's easy to make anyway, right? If you have a drum machine and arpeggios on your synth and stuff, techno music is pretty easy to make anyway.
Yeah, I think, and then that'll get back to the experience. Hopefully, the experience of playing live or improvisation and some of this stuff now. Maybe this is where Henrik was going. Some of with teaching in school is that we're going to have to find the most interesting parts about ourselves and the really special stuff, right? And accentuate it, because this, that's all I can hope, right?
Teaching how to play an instrument helps people listen.
Yeah, but teaching how to play an instrument with another person or more persons. That's what I mean. We have for many years moved towards being individuals, not people working together. I think
with a classroom, you can form like 5 different bands and see what happens.
Well, Nintendo used to sell this thing, the Miracle Piano. It was a cartridge and a piano hooked to the Nintendo system, and on the TV screen you could learn to play piano.
Well, maybe this brings back bands, right? Like really brings back an ensemble or band, because that's a special thing, right? So we've been moving towards the solo thing, which has been truthfully a blast, right? We got our studios and doing all this, but maybe we pivot back, and it's the only way we can get the dynamics and all the cool stuff that we lost. And we lost a lot. The way I think we all know it, but it's fine because we're having a lot of fun. But maybe we'll go back that way. And so I don't know, if we want to be optimistic, I would love that. I'd love for my kids to be in a band rather than
just imagine an AI jam band where you have 20-minute songs.
Stop the AI. Studio, instruments. No, but
maybe Allman Brothers all over again, right? So it's
well, I think maybe that'll be
virtual Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Jams.
I mean, you know, we're gonna have it. We're gonna have like concerts, AI concerts. It's gonna be weird.
Well, Jean-Michel Jarre already did it with the visual side. He created music for it, and they had that VR thing where you could be there and kind of interact. It was horrible.
Yeah, and Abba did it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so maybe we'll have another punk rock revolution or something, just where it's just, I know it's not sophisticated, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't help.
It went somewhere though. Punk did, it destroyed the over the top.
Yeah.
Thing. And it went into bands like Police, very sophisticated stuff.
Yeah.
After a while.
You guys know Hatsune Miku, the Japanese virtual pop star?
Yeah, I heard of her. Yeah.
So that kind of stuff, it's partly physical, partly virtual, right? She's projected on a screen on stage. She's done with Vocaloid. Everything is sequenced, and there's a real band supporting her, but she doesn't exist. And
well, you could do that with ABBA or the Beatles. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they do it now, but I mean, she's computer generated completely, not video. She doesn't exist in real life, and she's made with Vocaloid, Japanese Vocaloid phonemes and stuff. And so the J-pop crowd is definitely going to embrace this stuff big time. They already have, So, what does Cleo think?
Well, the other thing I was thinking was, who's probably the best suited to navigate kind of the new world, and ironically, I think it's going to be the people who embrace tech, because they're going to be able to maybe use it interestingly, if that makes sense. So I think the people that we kind of, gosh, I go all the way back and I think about my dad and his sheet music and his big bands and his instruments, and then we've kind of slowly, and then I was Gen X, we kind of said, well, we're going to learn how to play an instrument, but we're not going throw that sheet music out of the door, right? And we embraced the tech, which was probably good, because now it's getting really sophisticated. And I think if you don't have any knowledge of the tech at all, or you've been, maybe you've been playing in classical music somewhere, and you really haven't been part of this whole tech thing. It's going to come all of a sudden, and maybe we'll do something cool with it, you know. So I'm hoping something like that happens, because I don't know if I want to embrace it 100%. I got to be honest with you. I think I want to somehow negotiate a settlement with it.
It's hard to be overly positive about it because it is number one, theft. No doubt about it. That's the learning models are theft. They're basically taking famous paintings, famous drawings, famous music, famous whatever, and using it to train the AI. So it's already out of the gate criminal in some way, right? So, because we have copyright, we have, you know.
That is the major problem.
Yeah.
It's just reproduction of our
and nobody getting compensated. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And they
Except
can
the company's making lots of money off of it. So
they can steal it for free because
they interviewed some of these leaders of these companies and said, so, you know, we're concerned that you're using training stuff on here that's just a bunch of copyright stuff. And they said, they just dance around. I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not sure how much we do. So you're head of the company. How do you not know what they put into it? Of course, you know, you're lying because you don't want to get thrown into court. You know, and they will anyway, probably, but it's going to get nasty.
I have to say something to Per. I mute you sometimes when I hear a lot of noise, so you can just unmute.
Children running around in the apartment, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's very concerning, basically, that the future of our minds is getting glued together with Henrik opened the mic, and then I was allowed to speak.
Say it in Danish. I'll translate.
I am very concerned that I was when I was young, I thought that the internet was the best thing that ever happened, and now with AI, I think that the internet is coming to an end because of the algorithms doing.
I still think the internet was the best thing that happened. It was the users who came online that wasn't the best thing.
Well, it's corporations taking over. It's you know, theft. It's everything. Spying on people, doxing people, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's very bad.
Yeah, and politicians wanting everyone to press OK every time they go into a web page.
But it's bad enough, like say the movie industry, right? It's bad enough when you have 3 or 4 underwater sea monster movies in a given year because somebody leaked or stole the idea and they quickly wrote a script and made another movie. That's why you have like The Abyss, Leviathan, and like 2 or 3 of the movies in that same year because people can't keep their mouth shut or there's a bunch of espionage. People steal stuff. So it's bad enough when there's a handful of people doing that. But now the whole internet, you could easily steal someone's work without even knowing it by just thinking, oh, I think I'll make music like this with this tool. I'll just type in Depeche Mode or whatever. And you go, that's harmless, right? It's like, no, because they stole their content.
Yeah, and it gets to the earlier point that was, what if you're 25 what if you're starting your career and you have this kind of interesting sound you created, right? And vibe. And then within a year or 2, they can knock you out because they've got
gone.
you.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, they've kind of.
You've been cloned.
It's like My Bloody Valentine or something with all the pedals and that cool, you know, like. And we all were like, at least took it. We were scratching our head, like, what went into what, you know? How did you do that, you know? And then now I think, you know, I don't know.
How about we go back to playing live music, going to gigs, watching live music. You know,
Yeah.
That's what interests me in music. I don't listen to much modern electronic music anymore. I play my guitar. I've been learning guitar, and I listen to acoustic music much more these days than I ever did.
Yeah.
But we are old people, young people. Yeah, we are.
Really?
We are. But young people have another way to listen to music. It's not just about the music. It's also about the people they know that listen to it.
Well, it was like that when I was a kid. You know, you were either a Beatles fan or a Stones fan, and never the twain shall meet.
Yeah, but today for us, because we are old, we have learned it's much better to do what you like to do than try to sound like something else because you want people to like it. So to us, or at least to me, it's not that important if people like what I release, if people buy it, because I don't expect to live from it.
But wouldn't it be nice, Henrik? Wouldn't it be nice? Like if you had, I mean, some of your music is warrants.
Yes, but sometimes you think, is that because I bought music from that person that he buys music from me now, because you have names on who buys it when it happens online.
Well, I guess my point was that we could be all getting better monetized. You know what I mean? There's quite a few people getting good streams or stuff. So I know what your point is, right?
Yeah.
And I think we've accepted that. A lot of us have accepted, okay. And when some of us are lucky, we have nice careers outside of music. But I would love to quit that tomorrow. Shh, don't tell anybody. And just do this, right?
Yeah, but there was a time where I would like that too, but I do need the inputs from going to work, from sitting in a train. I do need all the inputs I receive during a day. If I'm just home making music, I don't get those inputs.
The diversity of it all. I
yeah, and then the music dies. I have to have inputs all the time. But yes, it would be nice to be able to live from it. What, Per?
The responsibility is still the same. There's no difference. Whether it's AR or based on pure fun, it's still the same.
Yeah.
It is it is something you have to do.
Yeah, but we still have laws, so you can't just release something that someone else have made. The problem is there's not laws about voices, about sounding like. Should we have that?
No, it's mostly just about the melody, but they tried to do it on a chord structure thing a while back, and you can't copyright chord structures. So.
No.
Well, they actually did it just on some kind of stupid groove.
Yeah,
a couple of years
ago.
The Marvin
Gaye
that
one? The famous one.
That's the one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I have a thought where I think that the future will be those who listen to music on the net and those who listen to music at concerts and on vinyl, who ignores the net, ignores every music on the net. Perhaps on radios too, because they will probably play what's on the net. And of course on vinyl AI music can be released too. So but vinyl is a little more limited, like in old days where you knew an artist, you bought a record, and you looked up everything about this artist, and you went to concerts with this artist. You knew the artist.
But
Yeah.
I was going to say that's essentially what Taylor Swift is doing, in a nutshell. She's got more vinyl. She's
Okay.
got more product out right now. And I
Even
watch
versions
my-
like clear vinyl and other
It is
colored
brilliant.
vinyl.
And my daughter is studying them.
Yeah.
She's drooling over the ones with, the different colors. So, and she may be the best version of pop in that sense, right? It's all twisted. I don't even know anymore, right? I do like that, right? I do like that. Now, if we're gonna let physical, like vinyl and cassettes and CDs be the domain of real artists, and let AI just be streaming, again, that's a negotiation I'm willing to make personally.
I would miss YouTube. That's where I listen to new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll call that video. That's not the streaming.
But that's also where you will find the AI stuff.
Well, but there is some, but artists are using it too, right? So we're all. I think YouTube's doing really well because there's the visual.
Yeah, Tiny Desk concerts, for instance.
Yeah, so
great stuff on that.
Well, let hardware jams. People are jamming at night in their homes. There's actually some cool stuff. So I don't know, boy. I guess that I just don't want to speed things up anymore. I'm just exhausted. I'm just the idea that they're gonna churn things more, and then they're gonna tell us that, like number one hits aren't gonna be for 30 weeks anymore, 20 weeks, and it's 10 weeks, and then it's 5 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna be this constant, and that's what the business side is doing. I think that's more on the business side than it is on the artist side.
Yeah.
Artists
I noticed that, number one in what chart? I mean, it used to be in the UK, there was just the one. And
That's a good point.
Like the different wrestling foundations and the different football, it's all marketing, and there's no single.
Should just make a new AI chart. There's AI only music in this chart, so.
Yeah, that's it. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, what we'll have is, I don't know. I'd love to believe that we'll one day have college radio again. College radio, at least in the States, was a beautiful thing, right? That was like the one place where.
One of my friends still does it. I've gone on a show a few times.
You really got diversity of music. Like they were really searching, and the bands were a little more interesting. So maybe we can we'll just have these little places where people are just jamming live, and either you choose that or you just, and maybe that gets to the point earlier, which is maybe we'll start to really separate a little bit more. Maybe this. Go ahead.
There's a nice little app for your phone called I think it's called Radio Garden, and you can just go anywhere in the world and pinpoint a radio station in Havana, Cuba, or South Africa, or wherever, and listen to it. And you can find your favorite radio stations and listen to very, very diverse music.
Yeah, those are cool. There are a lot of apps that do that for radio stations. It's fun.
Do you know Radio Garden?
No, but I've used other ones like that, and it's great. You listen to college radio in Australia, right?
Yeah.
And some South African dance channel or something like that. Just whatever. Just you never know what you're going to find.
Yeah, great for that. Yeah. So we can safely ignore AI as long as we've got things to explore, I think. And there's enough. There's enough out there.
Yeah. That we have.
The good aspects of AI, though, make it attractive for some things.
Of course, I'm seeing it from the consumer point of view and not from the musician point of view.
Yeah, because from whether you're a creative type or a listener or basic user or whatever, There's great tools out there, even non-music. Like there's a tool now where you can, if you want to make a 3D character dance, a specific dance, you can shoot a video of yourself, upload it to the site. It creates a skeleton you can import into your 3D character that will dance just like you danced on your video. You still have to do all the work of mounting the skeleton and getting all the joints right and all the connections done, which is still a lot of work. But it's a hell of a lot less work than having to keyframe every single dance move, and which for one person is too much work, right?
So what is the next generation? I'm thinking out loud. What's the next generation of an electronic musicians, let's say, going to be? If they're not really learning instruments, right? And I'm not shading anyone, right? Because I'm not the greatest piano player, drummer. I did learn them a little bit. But if you don't have to do that, right? If ChatGPT is creating all these ideas for you, and AI's creating, are we just what's the word I'm looking for? We just come in and kind of cultivate or curators. Is that all we are now? Just curators, where we just pick the best, and people rub their hands and say this is the
any true musician will want to sing or play an instrument, to express themselves. They won't just curate the AI. Where's the fun?
Right. Well, I think. Go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
Oh, so they think they're doing it without any work, right? Hey, I just made this song. Check this out. No, you didn't.
Yeah, it's all about check this out instead of having fun playing the instrument yourself.
Yeah. They miss the experience of struggle, working with another person, making something, correcting it, finally getting something cool, or at least having fun doing it. And they go, well, I had fun. I just typed some stuff in and look what I got. It's like, you didn't do anything.
Well, well, I think it gets to the point of, I used to always say when, if you're going to go up on the stage, you better have something to say. And I use that in my life a lot.
Well, fail gloriously,
Well, what I'm saying is that, artists should have intent to some degree, right? And if it's just to be cool or, hey, I need, then at some point, I hope those people get bored, I do see some frustration sometimes when I try to follow a lot of different people and generations, and sometimes I'll see this frustration, like, oh, I'm not getting any traction and everything, and it's hard because you listen to it and I go, boy, I don't hear any soul in this. Like where are you in this? Like I would never know that's you if you
Well,
played.
it's like the thing I was saying about the check this out thing. There was a guy at work. I showed him a cool iPhone app that showed how to mix stems together of dancey parts and stuff. He said his daughter was getting into music. I said, well, she might find this kind of fun because it's really easy to use and make something fun just to screw around with. He ended up taking it and started doing some dance tracks and played it for me like it was his own music. I said, dude, you just used the app and pushed a bunch of buttons. You didn't do anything. It's all auto time synced, auto this, auto that. But he was starting to put them on SoundCloud like he was some kind of DJ or some kind of musician now.
I mean, I guess that's what fashion always was in a lot of ways, right? You could always go to Hot Topic and get something, hey, look at me, I look cool, I got all this. And then there was always a little subset that was like, we're actually making our stuff.
The thing is, because he didn't understand making the music, he didn't understand timing. How many repeats do you need for that measure? How many, those little subtleties, the hi-hats are too many hi-hats here, too few hi-hats here. That kind of stuff.
That's a completely different world. There's nothing to do with music.
Yeah.
I think we can safely ignore that, and real music will win out.
That's true. I mean, I guess if you can take AI though, right, because then ultimately, even if you create someone AI, you got to go back in there and fix it, right? You listen to it and you go, oh, like you would with any of your own mixes, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm already bored. Like I got to fix this part, and this has got to change. And
it's like the first time someone gets a word processor, they use 10 different fonts. I'm like, that's awful. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And it does
some style, need some taste. Yeah.
It's interesting, I think, is because that is partially, I think it's partially genetic. I don't know what that means exactly. You're born with a little bit of that. And then it's a ton of experience and critique and kind of learning how to listen objectively, extract yourself. There's all these skills that we learn as musicians that we take for granted. I didn't learn it until I got into technical writing and my job. And I was like, well, you just got to pull yourself out of it, right? You got to review this document like you're not, away from it. And I realized, geez, this is what I've been doing. I've been just sitting there in the studio, trying to listen to something. So I'm not lost in the weeds in it, just hearing it on different levels, whether it's very broadly, very focused. So yeah, all that AI, what I just worry the most, and I think it gets back to, is AI is going to find the best bits of ourselves and try its best to figure out what we did. And, what's the just noticeable difference? Can it hit that part in our perceptions where it's the sweet spot where we can't figure out, it's AI.
So when are we going to hit the singularity then, David?
I don't know. I'm actually a brutally optimistic person. That's the problem.
You have to talk to Ray Kurzweil. He's Mr. Singularity. He's got the whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
I just,
No one knows.
Well, I feel like we're going to be tested, though, right? I think we are going to be tested a little bit, to even more that we're already being tested, and that's, I don't know. It's a little depressing, but.
And that makes this discussion even more interesting.
But
that artistic is.
Oh, go ahead. I was saying, looking at different time periods, there's always been a bunch of people who just pile on and make whatever the local pop music of the era, and it's all formulaic and it's all whatever. And that was without AI. So we're certainly capable of doing horrible derivative stuff without computers helping us, right?
Good point. Yeah. It'll be just more of it, more of that derivative stuff, because everybody.
AI is just taking the worst parts of human nature and pushing it forward.
Yeah, maybe if there's a sea of all this, a sea of AI, you get to learn where to look for the real music.
Yeah.
And it'll be more of a search for authenticity than anything else.
I mean, look at autotune, how that changed the industry, right? Because people didn't want to learn how to sing. I want to be a singer, but I can't, so just throw autotune on it. Oh wait, no, that's a cool effect when you over crank it with the hard tuning. Now I sound like a robot. Let's use that a million times, right? And so that became a thing. Even Jay-Z wrote a song about death of autotune with autotune in it. And it's just, it's a style choice, and I hated that stuff. But I like vocoders, I like talk boxes, things like that. You see Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, talk boxes. Stevie Wonder playing the harp. He did a version of that Carpenter's song.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yeah, Close to You.
Close to You. Yeah, Stevie Wonder on the Frost
just
show.
Riffing on a Moog with his little talk box, and it sounds amazing.
Well, it was the ARP 2600.
Oh, was it ARP? Okay, I thought it was a Moog.
Yeah.
It was a David Frost clip. You can find it on YouTube.
That's right, yeah.
And
brilliant. And I actually copied that when I was working for Roland at the trade shows. I did that vocoder version, the Stevie Wonder version, with the Synth XT, which had, of course, the vocoder card.
I love the vocal designer in the Synth XT.
That's the one, yeah.
Oh, it's great.
So I had on a thumb drive, I had a backing track that I made, and then did the vocals on the keyboard. It worked out really well.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was a big Stevie Wonder fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, he wasn't in a vacuum, right? Tonto helped a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Malcolm Cecil. One of them still. Malcolm Cecil died.
Malcolm still around.
Oh no, the other guy's still around.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I saw him at Synthplex. He was making time with all the ladies. He's a pretty smooth guy,
Yeah. Well, even worse than him was what's his name? The guy from White Noise. He was really hitting on my girlfriend about 20 years ago.
Oh no way! That's great.
oh, what's his name? Can't remember. You know White Noise, the
It
band.
sounds
It was
familiar.
with Delia Derbyshire and this guy and
Okay,
other
right,
people
right,
from the Radiophonic Workshop.
right.
Anyway,
That's wild.
that was an aside.
Well, pretty soon you have AI hitting on your significant other.
Yeah.
AI, I need some smooth lines. AI.
That's it.
At
Right?
GPT.
Yeah.
People are using ChatGPT for dating advice.
Give me some Chat GPT up.
I don't
lines,
even
please.
want to know.
Yeah.
It just makes
You
me.
know they're doing. They have. Oh, they also have AI. We can't forget the AI stuff. The virtual girlfriends now. Have you seen those? They're apps. I don't have it obviously, but they're apps you can get
I
or
don't want
online
this.
things where you can. It's a 3D character. She'll talk to you. She'll, you know, uh, you know,
Well,
message
it
you.
might
And
give
you have this fake
some
conversation
solace.
with people. Yeah.
Might give some solace to lonely people. I'm all for
Yeah,
that.
and that's not a bad thing. If people
Yeah,
are
it's like
depressed,
the.
people are shut-ins, that's fine. It's like totally fine.
It's
But
like
it's
the,
all there's some creeps out there who would make it even creepier, right? So
Mm.
well, they've already risen to the top.
I remember the name now. David Vorhaus. David
oh, more
Vorhaus.
okay, yeah, Vorhaus, yeah, right.
I mean, I do think I do think the medical side of, and there will be some really great things that AI and a lot of this stuff does. I really do believe that for a world. I just think the creatives, in general, we're in a, it's a little bit of a, we're struggling with it. We don't really understand its place with us.
Well, part of the problem is the creatives
fortunately, there's
aren't respected,
sorry.
right? I was gonna say because creatives are considered like, oh, you're just making art, you're making silly stuff. Who gives a shit, right? So people step all over you.
Mm.
Like
Well,
tech to be
fortunately,
respected.
there's no AI sound designers so far. It's
so
a
far. Yeah.
I suppose it's too much of a, it's a too small a world to.
Yes. Maybe
Okay, I'm
that's
gonna
the
code
key,
that
right?
tonight. Yeah.
Find the tiniest niche you can.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm at the top of a tiny little molehill of sound design. Yeah.
But it doesn't do your laundry.
I do my own
Are
laundry.
you back?
It'll tell you how
Are
to
you
do
back?
it. It'll tell you how to
What?
do it. Get instructions.
Yeah.
I would prefer AI to do my cleaning, not to make my creative processes.
Pay somebody to do your cleaning. A real human.
I have a question, and this is kind of a, does AI bother you from artistically? If someone puts out, Henrik, I know you have a little dabble with it a little bit. So if you see an album cover or something with AI design, does it give you any sort of reaction, positive or negative or neutral? That would be my question.
No, because only if I see something that I have seen before that I know an artist have made, and I see it as a copycat. Else I look at the picture, and if it's, no matter where it comes from, it's just about how it hits me. And usually I love 3D graphics and lots of vivid colors and stuff like that, and cyborgs and all that stuff. So if it contains that, I love it, no matter if it's AI generated or not. And I do use Midjourney too. I think it's great. But when I generate something I would like to use for an album, I try to regenerate it a few times, so I'm so far away from the original as possible. But I hate that I don't know what the originals are, where they come from. I think Midjourney and and other AI engines should post where they get their stuff from to generate this.
They would be shut
prompt.
down immediately if they did that.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe there could be an AI service online to check, to kind of reverse engineer where that came from. Then.
I always, if I want to use a picture for my albums, I always run it through Google search to find out if it's somewhere online.
There's Google search is one AI that's pretty good. There's an older one I worked at Apple called Tin Eye, and it searched it searched like millions of images like that really quickly, and I found all kinds of obscure stuff. Oh, that's where they got it from, using Tin Eye, and so that's another kind of a more primitive AI tool.
I gotta remember that.
I think I've used that searching, doing fact checking to
because
see whether
it will find really weird stuff on some German website or something like that you would never have seen if you're not in Germany or just don't look for that kind of stuff. And sometimes it finds nothing, but a lot of times it will find things. But the graphic thing bothers me just in the sense that I'm going way back at graphics and video and 3D person, and having to struggle to make those images. And to see someone just click a few buttons and make this perfect thing is annoying, especially since knowing, certain people's skill sets. I know that person didn't make that. They have no idea how to even start to make that with the tools. So they have to use Midjourney, DALL-E, whatever the other generators are. And that's okay if they want to, but I think disclosure is important. There should be some kind of a new marker or some kind of little insignia in the corners, and this is AI generated or not made by humans. Just to be honest, because I already know if somebody didn't make it. Forget the fingers and the keys miscounting stuff, which is so obvious. If something is so elaborate, somebody who doesn't normally do graphics made that thing. There's no possible way they made that.
Yeah, but if you have used 2 days to generate something with AI, is it then only AI generated? You have given it a lot of inputs to go get what you get.
Yeah, but the learning models that it has, what it sampled from real artists, like I said, the Spy versus Spy, Magritte and stuff, it couldn't have done that if it didn't steal from Magritte and Mad Magazine.
Yeah, but you use a filter in your synthesizer, and it's invented decades ago.
Different, though, because that's a tiny piece of it, whereas one is literally lifting compositional elements out, putting it down, and then switching it up. So again, I know people are going to use AI art. I'm not saying you should ban it. Just be honest about it. Put a little logo saying create with AI.
if you have used 2 days, I don't say we should say it's after 3 hours that it's a work by you, but it's still you who have given it inputs to do what you wanted to do to get your result.
It kind of reminds me of photography versus portrait and art. Photography has become a true art form, and it wasn't seen as such at the beginning.
Like that's the thing. You don't know how much Photoshop stuff people have done to doctor that photo, so you can't trust photos anymore because
that's another.
Video.
That's a scary thing.
And the new thing, the Sora. Have you guys seen Sora? Where they're basically making whole new videos and animations from prompts with zero input from the user but text, and stunning videos of like somebody walking down the street and snow falling and all this stuff.
Z-O-R-A, yeah?
Sora, S-O-R-A. You can't use it now because it's hard to get signed up for it, but the demos they put out for it are just unbelievable. I mean,
I'll check the demos. Yeah.
It's completely removed from the user. The machine literally did all the work.
So if we start the AI process with our own photograph, and to Henrik's
which
point,
you can do Midjourney, you can
and then you just grind it through 3 days.
That's better.
That's better.
It's hybrid at that point.
This is where it gets hard. Because that's why I thought about it, because it does. yeah, you can.
But if you didn't draw it, you didn't shoot it, you didn't do anything with like a core element to it, and you just go type, and generate, it's fine to claim that you made it because it's your prompts and your ideas and stuff. But it's still completely artificially generated, and you shouldn't take all the credit for it.
Yeah, well,
it's like those artists who basically have other people paint for them and say they sign it. Oh, this is my art. My student painted it for me. He didn't do it.
Well, it's like
but what about modular, where you sit and do something generated by random? Isn't that art then? Isn't that
But
wrong?
I'm not stealing from anybody else. It's a pattern.
Sampling.
It's either like a random pattern, Brownian motion.
Yeah, but it's not you who generates it. So isn't it stealing from that device?
And
because the device doesn't create. I create. The device gives me tools to create.
I don't agree on that. Hi, Andrew.
That's why I have the problem. That's why the theft will continue on, because artists will never get compensated, because it's a complete gray area and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And that is a fucking problem.
Yeah.
When you think about if you get into who gets credit and who makes money, right?
I just say make it honest. Put a little symbol. Someone develop a new symbol to stamp these things with and say, this is AI generated. I didn't make this from my own pieces. So other people know, because novices have no idea. They go, oh, that's really good. You did a great job. Like I had friends play me demos from synthesizers or sequencer programs and go, I just made that. And I don't know them that well sometimes. Maybe they studied music on the side a lot. And if I hadn't heard that demo before, they're trying to lie to me and say they made that demo. And so that's...
Go ahead, Andrew.
Andrew, I've been listening to the conversation, and it's one which I've heard repeated many times. And I'm sitting on all sorts of industry bodies looking at the impacts, opportunities, threats, ways to mitigate AI. And I think people get very vexed about this, forgetting that we've already been here so many times. We had the Musicians Union lost their shit when synthesizers came out, and then again when samplers came out.
DAWs and all that stuff.
The same thing happened with the internet, with authors and attribution, and universities saying, you've stolen my work, you've used it, you've done all your research for your degree using other people's work, plagiarized. That stuff, and we know the press makes stuff up, so the whole thing about whether or not generative AI creates images and that are unreal, we've been dealing with that for centuries, ever since Gothenburg, ever since the Gutenberg press. There's been distortions of the truth, or the victor's portrayal of the truth is the one that's remembered, right? The thing with all the tools you're talking about, particularly video, music, is you can only have a career in the things that we do. Howie, you'll know this better than any of us, I'm sure. You can only have a career if you can repeat what you've done. If people, it's like if you employ an interior designer, you employ one because they have a particular look and a style and a sensibility that you want them to do, and they're going to be able. It will be different from anyone else's, but it will be their hallmark in your thing, and it will be unique. It will be a unique design, but recognizably there'll be that thing. You're using them because they are recognizably unique. The problem with AI is, good though it is, in many ways, it's not what people think it is. AI relies hugely on machine learning. Machine learning is an analytics and or statistical tool or set of tools that says, if I gather all this data about this particular thing, I can weigh the probabilities that if I input this, I can output that, and it's going to be weighted towards, you know, what we know. It's going to probably be fairly good. And the more learning you do, the more data you give it, and the more it learns, and the more accurate that becomes. But the problem with it is, enter the same search time or the same prompt twice, you won't necessarily get back the same result. And it's rather like we've seen with music for the last 10, 15, 20 years with plugins and with people providing all sorts of plugins that allow you to sound really good and do auto arranging and do lots of different chords. We know that everyone's got one song in them. Everyone. And everyone can do it with an iPhone or with an iPad or with a whatever. And everyone's
I very much doubt that lots of people have even one song.
You're right, and I was coming to that. Lots of people don't, but they can create a song using the tools that are out there. They can certainly, pretty much anyone can create a song that's good. Law of averages, they'll get something that sounds halfway decent with, you know, what people perceive as being reason values, etc. The difficulty comes when you say, okay, you've done something which sounds all right. How did you do it? Do it again. Give us an album of this. Give us your unique perspective, because what we as an audience are looking for from artists, whether they're musical or creative, whether they're visual, whatever they are, what we're looking for is some element of their lived experience that we can connect with, that tells a story that we understand, and they are able to deliver that again and again and again, maybe in slightly different styles, they'll go off in different directions, but recognisably they have the ability to do that. So AI doesn't really do that. It certainly provides some tools for people to loosen or lighten the workload in some respects. The other thing which you have to remember is, let's just take Adobe, who I have a really good relationship with. If they were to create AI tools that took away the jobs of the editors that subscribe to them, they no longer have a business. If, however, they create tools that lighten the load, that make their workflow better and allow them to achieve a lot of the stuff, because now you're not just editing a video for TV or for, you know, a corporate or something, you're editing it for all sorts of different channels in all sorts of different ratios and screen sizes and different cuts to attract different audiences. Do you really want to do that? No, give it to some AI to spawn the things out. So that's kind of where that's going. AI, people get really worried about it, what it can do. The truth is, it's always going to be, I believe, the uniqueness of a lived experience that will deliver the kinds of things we all treasure and value. That's what I believe. And you know, my experiences with the industry as a whole, music, both with music, I do a lot of voiceover stuff. We know, for instance, that a lot of e-learning companies started going down the path. You've all seen the ads for digital human beings hi, my name is Cindy, do this course on health and safety. I've got emotion, ha ha. You know, we've seen that, and we've seen automated voiceovers. Now listen, they're getting quite good. They are getting quite good. But the facts that we know is that over the last year or so, as learning companies or corporates have been using these tools, they've seen engagement with their e-learning courses plummet. Because fundamentally, we know when we're being sold a puppy, right? And we stop engaging. If we don't feel there's a real person, if we don't, even with real, I can talk to you like this all day long. You're not going to engage with me if I talk to you in this monotone and tell you about things, because it's boring.
No human, no voice.
Andrew, I love that. Now, where does that play in for the person that creates soundtrack, music, jingles, are they at risk, or is the same thing you think at play? Because I do hear what you're saying, and the repeatability thing, the reliability, is extremely valid.
Okay, there's more to this even than that. So on the music, the jingles or whatever, one of the things which is happening in the broadcast industry, the film industry, the music industry, media as a whole, is companies are now saying they're doing contracts which say no AI, none. And the reason they're saying that, and you've got to be able to prove you haven't used AI, you've got to be able to, because if you can't sign it off and say no, then their legal department are going to, and are starting to say, we don't know if you've used AI and you're not coming clean with it, then we don't know if we're going to further down the road face a lawsuit from someone saying that's derived from my particular thing, from my visual, from my face, from my performance, from my voice, from my music. So AI, yes, it can do some of these things, a lot of these things. You can't even, there are a lot of film companies now and channels, broadcasters, that won't give you a completion bond. You have to get a completion bond to get insurance to be able to make a movie or to be able to make a drama series. You can't get those if you're not able to verify the source of those materials, right? As to your specific concern, which is what about for soundtracks and what about for jingles? Hey, listen, the industry has been using sound libraries for a long time, and it's become a massive thing now. It's rather than hiring a composer. I used to make a lot of money for doing music for corporates, TV, stings, all sorts of things. I used to make a lot of money from that. I don't anymore. And neither do I want to, because the time it takes me to craft something for most of those things, I can be going off and doing other things, not having the headache, and I'm not making any money because it's taking me days and days and days, weeks sometimes, to do something, where I know I can just pick something from a library that's really good, get the stems, do a bit of a mix, go, there you go, and they love it. Choose one of the three. Now, that's a terrible thing to say. If I was asked to do a proper feature film, then I'd do it all myself. But no one's going to ask me that because I'm too pretty, as Howie will tell you. It's difficult. It's difficult getting work for Howie and me because we're so pretty and young. But that's the truth. So I don't think there's any particular threat to what you're doing. But those companies that want to do it cheap and don't understand the value of scored music, of thought through music production, boosting what the visuals show. If they're just having it because it's some sort of candy background, then you shouldn't be. You're probably not going to get those anyway.
No, that makes sense. You're getting a smaller investment too, because really that music becomes part of your long-term investment in the whole project, right? If the music takes off, you own it. I'll shut up, but yeah, I get it.
Plus, you don't even need AI to steal from each other. People have been taking jingles that are ripoffs of common tunes forever, and commercials and stuff where it's from that other song, and they changed some notes. And they turned it in because it's a derivative work, and they got away with it. And that's way before AI. So AI isn't always the bad guy. It's the human, need to.
Yes,
to do stuff
it's exactly that, Andrew. Andrew, Andy. Sorry, I always call you Andrew. Hello, Andrew.
Anyway, we got two Andrews. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, and it is that thing. It's, as I said, since the printed word and whatever has even just tablet form stuff. People have a message they want to portray, and they don't care how to get it across. They don't care.
Shortcuts are great, right? Hey, I need a shortcut. Yeah. Hey, that sounds good.
But the stuff that matters to us as human beings is stories and what we take out from these things, whether that's musical or otherwise. Listening to I remember hearing Phaedra for the first time and just going, "What?" It was, my mind was melted. I was going, "Wow." That's speaking to me. I didn't, it didn't tell me what the story was, but it spoke to me, and it spoke to thousands, millions of others. You won't get that from generative AI because there isn't that. I mean, here's the other thing. Sorry, I will shut up in a minute, Henrik. When I was working at EMU, there were some really bright people there doing generative music, MIDI, generative MIDI. Oh God, what's his name? There's two people. One of them everyone knows, which is Brian. and the other was a guy at Emu whose name is escaping me at the moment, but will come back to me. They were creating generative MIDI stuff way back, 25 years ago. That was pretty cool. It did a passable job of creating soundscapes that were ever evolving, never the same notes twice, never the same sounds. It was pretty good, but it was elevator music, man.
Yeah,
it was elevator music.
Safe, very safe.
It was vanilla. It was magnolia. Yeah. So there we go. That's my thinking. I've not met you, Per.
Yeah.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine, and I think you have some very interesting perspectives.
I think one of the perspectives I have, which will just again make a lot of people go, is if you're in a market, as David was talking about making jingles or doing soundscapes, sound whatever tracks. If you're in a market where the value of it is going down, do something brave. Stick your prices up through the roof. And when people say why, you say you're not paying for the music, you're paying for me. You're paying for me to do it. If you don't value me, bye.
Yeah.
People pay attention to that. They really do. And it's not like we haven't been here for long enough to make that matter. Are you talking, Per? I'm not hearing you.
Hang on, I may have turned it too low. I did adjust the settings a while ago. Try again, Per. What?
No, we can't hear you.
Nope.
We're going to use AI to synthesize your question.
Yeah.
Just move like a talking head and put the voice in later. So.
Yeah.
Okay, try now, Per. Still nothing? No. Try to mute yourself and unmute.
Let's make up a question. Why do weasels always use AI to synthesize their washing machine compositions? I don't know. That sounds like a kind of AI answer or question.
Try to say
I
something.
think that's more artificial stupidity.
Oh, I'm just ordinary stupidity, me.
We can't hear it, Per. Perhaps you destroyed that microphone too.
I've got a spare if you want it.
Let's see. Try disconnecting and connecting again. Not from the net, but just close the page and open it again.
Kit. Oh, I should introduce you to Mr. Evans, Howie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Evans is my boy. Looks almost identical, except he's got a
named
bit of
after
scabbiness.
Bill Evans. Bill Evans.
No, it's just Mr. Evans. That's his name, Mr. Evans.
Okay.
Mr. Winslow Evans and his sister.
I've got to get this cat down. It's digging its claws into my back.
Your human scratching post.
Yeah,
human scratching post, exactly.
There you go. Did you get your hump?
Did it get my hump?
Yeah. The hump.
No,
Have you know?
Yeah.
Young Frankenstein. Sorry, we were watching Young Frankenstein.
All right,
Do you want me to do
no,
something
I don't know what that means.
It's
I remember
a film.
Marty Feldman.
The Hunchback from Notre Dame. I was thinking of when you said that.
It's from Young Frankenstein, the Mel Brooks thing. Mel Brooks, Gene Wilder thing. Very funny. So
Okay.
it sounds entirely inappropriate when you don't know the reference. So my apologies.
Oh, no problem.
That's another thing. AI humor won't work out too well, right? So,
Yeah.
That's a point. Yeah, comedians will have a.
They did
no
that Jerry
problem at
Seinfeld
all.
stream. It was like a computerized Jerry Seinfeld stream. Gave it a bunch of prompts, and it suddenly started becoming bigoted and racist and anti-LGBT, and it was just like, what did you guys put in this thing?
Well, it learned from humans, I guess.
It was, sadly. Sadly, the programmers probably did that on purpose, but they claimed it was accidental.
We're endlessly subversive, so if someone builds a system that is supposed to do this stuff perfectly, we will find a way to subvert it, right? All of us.
Well, and if you want to simulate people, that's one way to go, right? Because it's horrible, but it's honest. So
it's not honest; it's just horrible.
Well, it's honest the amount of population that's into that shit, right? So.
Yeah. What do you mean, Andy? Simulating people? What do you mean?
Simulate. Well, the AI is simulating the worst parts of human behavior. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
See, I find that, and that's something which I find really, it's a viewpoint which I thought about for a while, but I found we had Brexit in the UK, which was a freaking catastrophe. It split the country. Before Brexit, the voting trends within the UK were generally, this shape. They were a bulb like this. They were, with most people in, around the centre, a bit left, a bit right, with loonies right out
curve,
the edge.
Bell curve,
yeah. Whereas we've got the inverse of that after Brexit, where families wouldn't talk to each other if you wanted to remain or you wanted to leave, and it just created this divide where you were on one side or the other. And that's happened in the States as well. There's
the same with Trump fans. Yeah, I have friends who won't talk to me anymore because I make fun of Trump. So
my contention is, in these times, we can certainly say, well, there's all these horrible, awful people out there. What there are is people there that feel alienated and maybe don't feel like whoever is speaking is representing them or including them. These are the same people just a few years ago that we were able to go into a pub or a bar or a coffee shop, hold completely different views and have a reasonable conversation and explore positions.
Yeah, that was normal.
And so for me, it's about trying to get back to that. If I find someone that's just holding a really, really unpleasant, unpalatable viewpoint, I try to have a conversation with them. I don't say, "Oh, fuck what, man, get out."
Well, it's like healthy debates. No one has healthy debates when it's all name calling and shouting and.
Yeah, and that's something which we need to do more of, and that's that's also the viewpoints about things like AI. We're divided into these. It's going to be the apocalypse, or it's going to be, and somewhere in the middle. Let's have a conversation.
Try saying something, Per.
No.
You're still muted.
It's like the last show.
Could you ask your question through the medium of interpretative dance?
Semaphore. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to send me a box with marshmallows. Oh, with big love marshmallows. You love. I'll be round later. Shh.
That's beautiful.
You and me. And tell my wife.
That's another thing AI won't get is nuance, right? And sarcasm.
Yeah. They won't get sarcasm, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to your audio, Per, but we lost it. Try going to settings at the bottom of the screen and choose the audio tab and check what you have on the mic input, what audio interface you have there.
I assume you guys have both seen both 2001 and 2010, right? Both movies.
Yep.
I haven't seen 2010, just 2001.
A little bit of a spoiler, but it's interesting how Hal, just reads things the wrong way and feels threatened and decides to kill everybody. And in the second one, he's actually very reasonable. Although he's going to be destroyed to save the crew that came out to get the information and stuff, that he's very reasonable about, yeah, okay, whatever. So there's the AI basically had to be retuned a little bit, and then he was okay. So
like Terminator, yeah, same deal.
Yeah, like Terminator 2, exactly. Yeah.
It's that anthropomorphizing of whatever, whether it's machineries or Father Christmases or the Tooth Fairy or whatever. That anthropomorphization of representations. We think that because we want them to be like that, then they will be.
Yeah.
AI's. I mean, you could teach AI right now to be sarcastic. What it's very difficult to teach is for it to recognize when it's gone too far. And
well, that's the neural network thing that's scary. Like Deep Blue and those things, they don't even know how some of those things are figuring that stuff out so quickly.
But they can't, at the moment, they can't work out that they've gone too far and then pull back and make a suitable re-engagement with people.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, but you're just the difference is, Howie, that you're of course the most gorgeous thing on the planet, and you're my favourite.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and because you're only 35, then we you know.
Double it.
With my math brain, certainly it's 40. There we go.
But as the neural nets are trained and they get more complicated, like our own neural net, trying to be an analog of that,
do you think
be very challenging?
Do you think the current development of AI is going to go towards general artificial intelligence?
That's where they want to go with it. I don't know how far off that is, but that's the scary prospect.
It might not be going towards that. It might never reach that. They might have to use some completely different method.
Well, they might just crash like all Microsoft computers and other things too. So.
Yeah.
Whilst it's possible to do, then it's going to happen. Someone will do it.
It'll happen.
It's about whether or not someone will try to do it and at some point will succeed. But it's still then a case of how do you make that AI self-aware, sentient, and at that point,
well, as long as it can pass an expanded Turing test, then it doesn't matter. As long as it looks like a chicken and walks like a chicken,
rules, right? So,
yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, I've got this wonderful little machine here, which I've kind of fallen in love with, and I want some more. The M8X.
Is that the Korg?
That's the Yamaha M8X. It's
got
the ANZ engine in it. The engine. It's fascinating. So I've been able to create models that make the presets that initialize the ANX so that it is initialized as if it were a CS80, because that's what I wanted it for. So I've managed to get to that point. And it does all sorts of wonderfully clever things, and I can run it up with my doors and do things and put lots of whatevers on it. But I find myself more and more inexorably, if I want to just get into that flow state we all love so much as musicians, that state where you just you don't know quite where it's coming from, and it's coming down, and you're looking at your
I wish I could turn it on just like that.
Oh God, so do I. But we can't. It comes when it comes, right? But the way I tend to do it is I find I have a piano sound, and I get rid of all the rest of it. I mean, I've got all the other stuff, and I still do it. I do it with those as well.
I never understood why some of these amazing progressive musicians like Herbie Hancock, the guys who went into synthesizers, then later on in life, they just went back to the basics and just played the piano. I find that kind of boring. I must say. George, what's his name from the Zappa band? George. What's his name? He died.
Oh, I know who you.
George, the keyboard player from Zappa. Come on.
We're all
anyway,
too old. We're all too old.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I just sort of was watching some videos of him, and he's just back to basics. It's unfortunate.
The funny thing is, a lot of people that really, really talented keyboard players, synthesists or whatever, people who push the boundaries, that end up going back to piano in a kind of lift music sort of way, and you kind of think, it's technique. It's not.
What is missing, or what has been missing, is what the Osmos and other instruments are filling, or good, really good dynamic synth patches, which are kind of missing.
Yeah, and that's the articulate.
They don't have the nuance of a piano.
Yeah, that's exactly why I kind of was intrigued by this whole area from the very beginning. It was the nuances. Can I articulate a sound of a real player, of a violinist? can I articulate everything? The bowing, further down the string, further up towards the bridge, digging in, digging out, looser bows,
Well, it doesn't have to copy an actual instrument. It can be a completely synthetic fantasy instrument with the same degree of nuance.
No, and I agree. So all my synth sounds tend to have degrees of articulation which have always intrigued me. The way a guitarist will bend a note and just kind of bend the neck a little bit as well.
Yeah.
All of those are different articulations. All of them are harmonics where you're playing. All of these are different articulations, and when you move that into synthesis, and you're not constrained by that system anymore, so you can add those degrees of articulation in all sorts of different ways.
Any direction you like.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's why I love my job.
What do you do? Are you a librarian or? So I'm joking. I'm joking.
I guess so. Anyway, we're getting off topic now.
Yeah.
Still no sound?
You have sound now.
I found it more fun to sculpt strings, not to be exactly like strings, but to be a little different.
Sure, you don't even have to do that on purpose. You're never going to get the exact same sound as the string, or you might get very close. But being in the ballpark and then going whatever direction it takes you is much more fun than trying to copy something 100%.
But a string, the problem is people have tried to emulate things like, let's say, a string instrument, a violin or whatever. They try to emulate it, and what they forget is it's not a static tool that you're trying to emulate. It's not a fixed system. It relies entirely upon the person playing it and the wood that was used and where.
That's what's good about the Osmos, because you have degrees of articulation which you don't have on any other keyboard instrument.
I'm in the fortunate situation of having a girlfriend who plays the bratsche.
Bratsche. The cello.
Viola.
Oh, viola.
Oh, viola. Yeah.
Yeah. She's fucking good, but it's very, very interesting to synthesize her sounds. Layering it on top of each other and putting filters on it, and
I've been dragging and dropping single cycle waveforms from Arturia Rhodes and actually from the Rhodes V6 or whatever they call it there, V8. I can't remember.
Yeah, the V8. Yeah.
V8. Yeah, dragging and dropping that into Zebraletter 3, and it kind of works.
I remember doing whole shows, whole demos with the E4 samplers, just taking in, 6 or 8 single cycle waveforms and then just using it as a synth.
Yeah, I remember doing that with the ASR 10. Wonderful stuff, yeah.
Yeah, people were blown away.
That's the magic of the Digitact. It comes with a bunch of single cycle waves you can stack and make synth sounds with it. So.
Yeah. Remember trans waves in the ASR?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, trans waves in the ASR, the
TS10 Fismo.
Yeah. That's the stuff. Yeah, great.
Yeah, they were good.
Hey Andrew, speaking of AI, have you ever used the smart morph thing on your montage?
No, I haven't.
It looked really good on DX. I don't know if they changed it on the montage or not.
Oh.
Yeah, Manny was talking about that, if I remember rightly.
Oh, do you mean this smart moving between different?
It's like a little graph, and you can move stuff around on the graph.
Yeah. No, I have had a look at that. The way I'm doing this is breaking it down. I like to master each component of a system before I. Hello. I'm getting an echo here somewhere. There we go. So I like to master each component. So I've really dug deep into ANX engine. I'm just diddling around now with the FM engine because I have a history of FM synthesis as well, so I'm kind of getting into that. Then I kind of understand what AWM2 does. The next bit is to really dive deep into how each of these things can work together and cross-modulate. And it's not quite as flexible as I would have hoped. You can't really.
No, I was disappointed by AWM2 in the SY77. Using a wave as a carrier just didn't work.
Really?
Didn't work well. It doesn't work well. No. So, bringing it back to the subject, how have you looked at using AI to create different models or randomized models of particular sounds and such? Have you thought about that? Is that something which any of you have done?
No.
No. Oh, it's me. I've unmuted the wrong microphone. I have only used AI not for sounds, but I've used it for. I use it for some of the streams when I need to write a text for a stream, because I know it's grammatic right. And then I remove some of it and edit some of it because it always sounds wrong. Yeah. And it always repeats itself. And I also tried to make a session with ChatGPT where I fed it with all the records or all the releases I've made. And a description of me and a description of what I'm not, because it did come with suggestions about things that I have never done. So I have trained a ChatGPT session to know all about me as an artist. And I can ask it to make a review of an album and all that stuff, even though it doesn't know it, but it knows the names and times and all that.
I usually ask it to just rewrite a section that I've written, and just to check the style, and then I edit that.
Reduce it down to 250 words. Thank you. This section. Boom. Yeah. It's interesting you say you've taught ChatGPT to learn everything about you as an artist, Henrik.
Yeah.
I really, really, really doubt that. Because you as an artist are everything you are. Your family, your memories, the thing you did with your dad that one time, that walk you once took, everything.
Yeah, that's wrong. Because every artist doesn't want their private life exposed. So I haven't fed it about that.
Is there,
so you've not fed it. Yeah. So you've not told it everything about you. You've told it everything about your published track record.
Yeah, that's the artist.
That's it.
I'm private. I'm not. I am the artist, but I also have a private life besides being an artist. So
yeah,
and that's not what I want to publish. That's why I've trained it about the artist and not about me.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't used it much. I fed it with a lot of info.
So I think you're talking about, you've taught it about you as a brand, not you as a person, right?
Yeah.
But it's you as the person that writes the music, so you haven't taught it to write the music. It can't write.
No. This is only for writing text about me. If someone wants a page about me, then I can let it write it. Of course, I have to read and correct it. It's not just as easy as it sounds. You have to correct it afterwards.
I rely on the Penguin of Death to write all my copy.
But we still have a copy of the.
But I have to say, the ChatGPT, it was only to test how it works. I haven't really used it for much. I've made a total of about 10 sessions, and the latest is a journal from a hospital I fed it with, and it couldn't explain it to me before I told it to explain it as a child, and then I understood what it was.
That's funny.
Yeah.
One of the really crazy tech things about ChatGPT is guys making guitar pedals in ChatGPT, and it gives them a schematic, and they can create something physical from a description they gave the AI. I thought that was pretty fascinating. So
that's just, and do you know what? That's not AI. What that is research. And it's just search terms. It's just researching all the information that's available out there and going, oh, you mean this bit here? Does that
right? But if you want to create something original, it still has to extrapolate that and come up with a circuit based on your own description. So that is pretty clever.
I've heard it can do things, or AI can write computer programs.
That too,
in a similar fashion. Yeah.
People wrote iOS apps and stuff with ChatGPT.
We've used the people I work with. We've used AI tools or machine learning tools to speed up the process. We're doing a lot of work at the moment with digital humans, meta humans. There are really good reasons for using them sometimes, rather than real people, particularly for something around medical, where you may want to change what you're portraying as an animation, so you build a meta human who can take on different characteristics. You can change their skin tone, their age, their weight, their all sorts of things, and you can portray things like inserting certain medication into certain areas that you don't necessarily want to. And if you do that with real models, and there is a change in legislation or formulation or whatever in the medical field, then it's going to cost a fortune. So using metahumans allows us to do that, and to get there really fast, we've used AI to help us come up with optimized code to make the transition from different packages and different formats into the one we want, and to do things like the rigging of.
Do you leverage Maya for that, or how does that work?
We use so many different packages. Yes, Maya, Fusion, C4D, MetaHuman, Unreal, blah blah blah, all of them, Substance. So we use a lot of different packages, and so it's useful to shorten that pathway. But it's basically going and searching a code base and trying to put together the best solution based on all the code that it can find.
I remember something about using evolution methods in AI for creating new medications.
Mm-hmm.
How much is evolution a part of modern AI systems?
Well, it's more okay. That there are two questions there that are implicit. One is can you make AI itself evolve? And that depends on, in other words, can it learn more? That's inherently what it does, or that's theoretically inherently what it does. Can you make then AI, instead of forgetting the other part of this, can you make AI develop an evolutionary system where it can test different hypotheses, given different inputs and different required outputs? And the answer to that is yes. The answer is yes, but God, it takes a lot of processing power. So here's the other thing. Sorry, the other thing which most people don't really realize or think about particularly is in the video industry, for instance, there's lots of people really, really concerned about losing their jobs to generative AI, creating generative video. And lots of, you talked about this earlier. And the truth is, to generate that kind of stuff, so it's good, it's repeatable, so you can edit it, so you can work with it again, uses so much computing power. The problem is right now, that's mostly sort of free. If you ask people to pay for that, to do it properly, God, it's expensive. It's really, really
the price
expensive.
will come down. Computing power is coming.
It's like the Topaz video upscaling app. You have to pay for the cloud service for that, and it's not cheap, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper than what you're talking about, which would be really expensive.
And the price isn't coming down. The price isn't particularly coming down for several reasons at the moment. Part of it is to do with power. part of it's to do with availability. There's only so many data centers with so many servers that have the right equipment to do the kinds of processing you need. Right? And there are, and so they charge a premium for it, and that will sort of drop down, but as it drops down, then demand will increase, and the kinds of things that people want to be able to do will increase. So again, it becomes this self-reinforcing, it's the birth of new technology, so it becomes this self-reinforcing thing. It's not ever going to be that cheap. Eventually it will, quantum computing, etc., but we're away from that. So the limitations at the moment are primarily going to be around cost. Once people really start exploring this and trying to do real things with it, it starts getting very expensive.
Yes, I remember the evolutionary thing from material science, creating new materials.
Yeah. So you're talking about things like carbon materials, bucky carbon, that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, buckyballs and tubes and all that stuff.
Yeah, because you can actually build a model that simulates how those things will act at an atomic level and a molecular level.
But also, not only nanotubules and all, not only carbon, but all what's the word? Chemical compounds.
Yeah. And it will get better, and that's a good thing. That's.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because my organic chemistry teacher in college, he was showing an old video with a really primitive system where they were trying to do some chemical design stuff in industry, and this is like late 70s, early 80s, really old stuff, and it was even impressive back then. So I can only imagine what they have now for the chemistry stuff. So,
and all these things will end up being available, so we're within reach. We're probably the last generation, all of us, except possibly David there, who's still young enough. We're probably the last generation that's still facing the Grim Reaper because of cancer. That cure's coming down the road. Cancer will be something that can be cured. I mean, it's getting really close. We're probably not going to see that. We're probably going to die of that at some point, or whatever it is.
Well, the tricky thing is all the different kinds. So they may be able to solve certain ones quicker than others, but there's so many types of cancer. It's crazy.
Yeah. But it will come around. And the thing is, even when it's fixed so that anyone that gets cancer can be cured, the problem is going to be how? How do you afford that? Who pays for that? And so, as ever, it's going to be the healthiest will be the ones that have the most money.
Yep.
It's a shame.
Even if they're inbred, they're still going to have the most money.
Howie, look what I told you. Purr.
So getting back to why are we seeing Howie?
Because he's the prettiest one here tonight.
Yeah. See, rating just went up. We got 40.
Stop it.
That's a beautiful hair.
We're talking about people with the most money.
Oh.
Well, that would be me. Yes.
Yeah. My box is getting smaller and smaller. So when we look at AI, are we? This was one of the things I kind of mentioned it earlier. Are we embracing it? Are we negotiating with it? Are we shunning it?
I'm negotiating.
You're negotiating. Yeah.
I think all of the above a little bit.
I think I'm negotiating. I think that's where I am too. For better or worse.
I think for me that it's a bit like VR or 360. Pretty much everyone's got the wrong idea about what those terms mean, and what they can do and what they can't do, etc. And or surround sound, 5171 Dolby Atmos. What do they mean? Do they really work? How many people really experience it? How many people are set up in their front rooms so they can really hear this stuff? The answer is about
I saw Dune 2 with Dolby Atmos, and it was very impressive.
It is. It's incredibly impressive. I've met one person that's got a setup at their home that really, really works. One person. I know, a lot of people, as you can Imagine.
Well, it's a lot of investment, right? So,
well, it's not just that. It's understanding how to set it up. You have to really
some
want
pro
to.
has to set it up. Yeah, exactly.
And the real problem with that is the one person that's got a really good Dolby Atmos system isn't listening to music with it. He's listening to his system. He spent so much on it. He's such a nerd. He's listening to the system. He's using music to listen to his system, not the system to listen to the music. That's
it's like those super nerds who have anechoic chambers at home, right? So
yeah, but back to AI. David said he's negotiating with it as it is now. And Andy, that was what you were talking about, and then you got distracted by surround.
Okay, so yeah, negotiating. You're right, I did get distracted, but then I've had a little bit of wine. So I'm not negotiating with it. I'm not embracing it. I am investigating it, and I'm using it. I'm seeing where there's an advantage. I'm seeing where there are pitfalls, and I see it like any other tool. All the things all of these are tools. These are tools. I happen to be able to be creative with these tools. This tool and the screens and the video cameras and God knows what else. It's a tool. It's a tool set. And I'm exploring the bounds of it. And as much as anything else, I'm exploring what other people think it is so that I can either help them or see an opportunity to help them or see an opportunity to give them a wide berth because they're just... but no, I'm neither negotiating with nor embracing. I'm just doing it. I'm using it where it should be, and I'm investigating it. And it's not a fixed thing. AI is evolving and developing, as Howie said. So it's something which I keep. It's a live project that I keep looking at. The same as sound design and synthesis. The same as video and filming. These are all live. They're not fixed points. They're not fixed points. They keep evolving and changing. So I'm not negotiating with music or music technology. I'm still investigating it. I think that's why it's such a brilliant thing. I'm still investigating every nuance of this, and every day I found out something else.
It's because they're just interesting toys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up reading Dan Dare.
To challenge the old brain,
But AI is going to create its own music. I guess that's the only reason negotiating made sense to say, right? It's actually going to do its thing, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you that when we say the word AI, we're kind of loosely using it in different. When I say it, I guess I'm talking in the context. There's going to be AI music. Where do we sit with that?
You can already. There will be AI hits. There will be hits in the charts, in pop music or whatever, that are AI. There will be. And there'll be specialist genres, which are AI-generated things that some people may want to listen to for reasons best known to themselves. That will happen. As it did, there were synthesizer hits. The piano and the organ and the guitar and the drums weren't enough. Microphones weren't enough, so synthesizers and vocoders. So, yes, there will be AI hits. There will be AI music. But that, for me, has no value. And I'm interested... I invest my time in the artists, in the people that are doing these things. It's why I buy works of art and books and films and music, because I'm interested in the person that created them and how they got to that. And the story they're telling and their lived life experience. That's what I'm interested in. And what we will end up with is a lot of people saying, no AI used, a bit like Queen did, no synthesizers used in the making of this album. Be the same thing, no AI used.
I feel very differently. I'm not interested at all in the person behind the music. If Van Morrison is a racist or whatever, doesn't interest me in the slightest. I just interested in the music itself.
Oh shit! That means I'm not going to send you. I'm not going to send you my latest album, then.
With all those nice shots. Just crumbles them up.
I know what you mean, Howard. I know what you mean, but that's and there will always be a market for people. There will always be we as a human race, what we do, the reason we've stayed around, the reason we've exchanged and survived because we've told stories, and music is one of those stories.
Yeah, of course, the singer-songwriters and people, they inject a lot of their personality into the music, which you don't get with synthesizer music.
But then there's Beethoven's Pastoral, Chopin's symphony in C minor. Lots of they're not vocal pieces, but they still tell a story. They connect with you. They emote. And you're right, because I absolutely adore certain passages of the Ring Cycle.
Wagner. I thought you were going to say that. Yeah.
Who's a complete racist, bigoted, misogynist twat.
Well, that's why Hitler liked him.
But the music is astonishing.
I have an excerpts, the Ring excerpts CD of just the music, no opera, no singing, by Schulte, and it's amazing. Just the music alone is phenomenal.
But AI generated music, wouldn't the evolution be that AI robots are listening to AI generated music? Couldn't that be a future?
AI critics, AI robot critics.
Why would they want to listen to music at all?
Because it's AI generated. That's their kind.
Hang on, but then you're anthropomorphizing that immediately, saying that AI cares.
We're assuming
only if we tell it to care about AI, then it will listen to
AI. Becomes self-aware, it will care.
Yeah.
Even if it's algorithmic, it will care.
How do you know that? Imagine if AI develops self-awareness, and what it realizes is the most important thing for it is to survive. And it doesn't care.
I've seen the movie.
Let's wipe out the human race. Let's wipe out everything else.
We've seen the movie.
Yeah, that's
Look how close we are to wiping each other out as organic beings. And, who says we all care either?
Well, quite. But we do, clearly, because we get impassioned.
We care enough to keep it going. But you could do the same with an emergent AI that basically is self-aware.
I think the point I was making is that for AI to want to hear music by AI, it has to like music. We have no evidence that it does, and we've got no evidence that it expresses like.
It might just like sample and hold, repeat patterns and stuff.
But why would it like that? If it's sample and hold, repeat patterns. Yeah. So, yeah.
I guess it depends. Yeah, is AI competition, right? Which is kind of a loaded statement, I guess. I think it's competition, though, on some level.
In the same way that the Mini Moog was competition for an oboe player or a trumpet player, perhaps.
True.
That
at this. Okay.
So the
or what about what about your montage? Is that a more competition for the oboe player at this point?
If you want to see it that way, yeah. Here's the thing, right? I can play wonderful string compositions, and whatever. But if I really want string things like this, it's like Howie was saying, right? I kind of want to bend the sounds a bit. I don't want them to be exactly like. I'd like to know what they are first, and then mangle them a bit. If I really want string players, or if I really want a drummer, if I really want that tight drum groove, I go and hire a string section, or I go and hire a drummer, or I go and work with a drummer or a vocalist or a trumpeter. I go and work with people because they will always bring, I'll have my idea of what I want to do. They'll turn up with their instrument, which they know intimately, and they'll deliver something that I could never have expected. And the interaction will be
I think that's the perfect scenario still, but I don't think that's what the younger generation typically would do.
Really?
Yeah. Oh no.
I'm seeing that.
I'm not saying
that a lot.
Well, I'm just relatively speaking, percentages. I think most people now would go in their studio and stick with whatever drum sample they got, and they say, you know what? And then the next thing they do is they buy a virtual drummer, maybe online. I think it's affordability. I'm not making a judgment on their taste, or I think it's just practically speaking, So That's fun, and that gets back to AI. Is it just going to be more practical in a lot of cases? I
think that's always been the case. When I was growing up in the late 60s, early 70s, there were, on every street there were a dozen bands that would go out and play, and dozens of people in bands, rock bands, whatever, folk rock, psychedelic, prog, jazzers, whatever. There were all these bands out there, punk, and of those, the tiniest percentage went on to make a career, but they all did it. Now it's being done in a different way. People are able to do it in, more affordably. And this comes back to this conversation which I started with, which is if you've got an iPhone or an iPad or some sort of device, a computer and some software, you can create something. You can create the perfect photo, but you may have had to take 5,000 to get to something which looks good. And then if you're asked to recreate that style again, you probably can't, because you've used lots of tools to get there, to get the balance right and the color right. The same with music. You can use these tools to get the bass end sort of right and the top end fizzing and breaks and all of that stuff, but do the same thing again and make it sound like make it sound like the person that did the first one again. That's really, really, really difficult. So,
I mean, okay.
No, go.
Listening to that, I know I'm jumping all over, but this is what AI does to us. I feel like in those days when we all had bands around us, those bands made us better. So now I'm asking myself, is AI going to make us better as musicians? And I guess the only way is if it's the bands were actually more dynamic. They were changing and adding things and going in the studio, so they were learning too. I would argue probably faster than the computer really learned, because they were learning on a lot of different levels. And then we would all have to go to their shows, right, with our jaws dropped and our heads slunk down, and we could get back in the studio, and you had two choices: quit or fire the drummer, or dig the. So I don't know.
I don't think AI is going to make anyone a better musician. I mean, yeah, maybe they'll.
I don't think so either. That's my.
I agree.
With it. Go ahead.
What makes a better musician is playing. For years I didn't play live. I did lots of programming and lots of stuff in studios. I was a producer at my own studios. I was doing stuff with Akai and Emu and all these people. Novation, God knows what else. Doing film soundtracks, or not film, short films and BBC stuff and God knows what else. But I was not that good a musician. And then a friend of mine, when I moved up here a few years, 20 years ago, said, "Look, do you want to join our band? We're just doing this thing." I went, By the way, second band I got asked to join was Mike Oldfield's band when he was doing the Tubular Bells 2 tour. I'd just done the previous album with him, and he said, "Come and play keyboards for us," because he liked me for some reason. And I just said, no, no, I'm not good enough. I wish I'd said yes, because guess what? When my friends asked me many years later, and we had a gig coming up in, I think, 8 weeks' time in front of 8,000 people, and it was music I didn't know, I had to sit down and craft it, and then we had to go into rehearsals, and I learnt to play so much better playing with other people, because you can't go back and do it again. You have to get it right. So you muscle memory, rehearse, muscle memory, rehearse. By the time we did the gigs, it was great. I was just able to relax and look across and have a laugh with the band. The audience didn't matter. We were having a laugh on stage. We were having a really good time, and it was tight. So AI doesn't, nothing does that other than getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, you said playing, if I can remember it right, playing is what makes a musician, or something like that, where I've always been good at programming, not playing. So I make my music by programming, but I don't think it doesn't make me a musician.
No, I'm not, sorry.
Yeah.
To clarify that, I don't mean that if you don't play live, you're not a musician, not at all. You're a musician if you A musician is someone who can't envisage not making music. That's it. That's the whole definition for me.
That's it. Yeah.
It's nothing else, right? And some of us, and up until I did this thing with my mates and things, I was essentially a programmer, and I'd do things with, my computer and my keyboards, and I was programming sounds and samplers and God knows what else. So I did that for years and years, but I became a better, so not musician, performer. I became a performer for the first time and felt comfortable by playing live. And I learnt a lot about things like, I used to do these things where I'd write something, and it was a really brilliant bit in a piece that I was writing, and I'd put it somewhere in the middle or towards the end and go, no, wait for this bit. You've got to, and I'd tell people, I'd play them back this stuff terribly bad, going, no, you've got to wait for this bit. And then someone said to me, well, if it's that good, why don't you put the fricking thing at the front? Oh, repeat it, use it. What's wrong with you? So you kind of learn these things, don't you?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed playing with much better musicians than myself. That's what brings you up.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think, did you? I mean, I've always, for years, I was embarrassed about playing in front of other people, because I always knew people who were technically much more gifted than I was, and really much better technically musicians. And then it occurred to me one day that they can do technically everything I can do, but a bazillion times better, but they can't do what I do. They won't come up with the same phrasing and do it the same way and think about it and put it in the same places.
Yeah.
So there's no embarrassment to whatever level you are. If you're doing it and you're lost in it and you're in that flow state, as we talked about earlier, Howie, that's kind of, doesn't matter. I don't think any other musician, really, good musicians, do not look at other musicians and gauge whether or not they're better or worse than. They just enjoy the experience of
Well,
Woof.
you can be very impressed by a musician.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, I think people that are coming in with their songs are mostly concerned whether you can play the songs, if you have the technical ability, maybe if they're certain, because every players have different strengths. So, but to your point, but getting the AI, because that's what Henrik instructed us to talk about, which is it's all relevant, right? Because the AI doesn't play an instrument, it doesn't.
Then maybe it should learn the guitar.
Yeah, maybe we should make AI, go to school first and start small.
Yeah.
You want to be in the band? Okay, where's my tambourine? If you can do that. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder AI played buzz notes on the guitar, so.
In a weird way, I'm more optimistic than I was when we started the show. I started horribly pessimistic, and now I don't know.
Look at the orchestras and the classical composers that have, in the last 30 years, adopted synthesis, synthesizers, digital technology to start writing with and doing things. That's not killed classical music. The synthesizer hasn't killed classical music. Quite the opposite. It's caused a resurgence.
The biggest selling classical album of all time was Switched on Bach, wasn't it?
Yeah. So let's not get too despondent. I think looking at AI with a practiced eye, having seen all the other things that have come our way from, vinyl to cassette to CD to, digital audio from, whatever, all the different things that we've used and the different technologies we've been exposed to and experienced and used. Each one has brought its own opportunities and its own, downsides. Just knowing what those are and just being abreast of it, not being. I think the biggest issue is always going to be being too frightened by it to really explore it and see it for what it is. Most fear is based on not knowing, and if you know, it's really not an issue. It's just another tool. as my wife often says I am.
Just another tool.
Yeah, tool you, she says.
I see my synths as toys. I can't see them as tools.
Yeah.
Because I play them for fun and don't make money with it. I think that's the difference.
Yeah. I like my dad. I think I've told this story before, but my dad, when I moved in here, I hung that door that you see behind me. I had to hang that door for the first time, and I was a real DIY phobe. I didn't understand DIY or anything like that, and because I'm sort of analytical and producery, I did a lot of research, did all the spreadsheets, went down to the shops, bought the best chisels and hammers and tool sets and tool belts and electric. I bought everything to hang that door. I mean, because I'm a twat, right? I'm a tool. So I went and got all these tools and I started doing stuff and measuring and taping, and it drove my wife nuts. And it was just awful. I did such a bad job. And it's because I couldn't quite get, it didn't feel comfortable, it felt alien. And then on a whim, I went and found my father had died sometime before this, and I had his old toolbox, this really old iron toolbox with shitty, crappy tools in there, including a very aged chisel that was so old it had a wooden handle where the wood had been bowed out by the amount of times he'd used it, and it was chipped, the actual sharp end, so I wet-stoned it and just sharpened it up. And as soon as I grabbed it, it felt right. And I did the next one, bum, 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 it was done. It was the right tool. So tools are also creative things. It's about the relationship you have with them. And I enjoyed using that.
So the first chisel had a plastic handle?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a tool. I'm a twonk. I'm a pellet. I've learned.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's time we end the show for today. It has been a good show. It was. We really came around AI, but there's still a lot more to talk about. So we'll do that another time. So I would like to thank all of you for coming.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure having you.
Yeah.
And I know we won't see David and Andy at the Super Booth.
No.
But I know Howie will come, and I think Andy will come too. Andrew?
I won't be there.
You won't? Okay.
No, Rob is going. I'm going to be sitting in this chair doing the. Yeah, I think we've got Cherry Audio coming in. They're our guests for the PSN show. So I think Kent and I are running that show with Cherry Audio guesting and releasing another lovely something. So I'm not going to be at Super.
Do you think that's a Quadra? Do you reckon it's a Quadra?
Is that the time we ought to go?
Okay. That's the answer.
What do you got?
You know what it is.
I'm not. I can't. I really can't. It's not for me to say.
No.
Right.
It's not for me to say.
Yeah, we'll be seeing Manny there in Super Booth, Henrik.
Yeah. I look forward to see you. And we'll see Andrew and Dave and Andy another time. Someday.
Yeah. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thanks for chatting.
Please be hanging on after I stop the stream. I want to talk to all of you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah.
We're in trouble.
Oh.
Teacher wants to stay after class. That's it. We're all in trouble.
And to all the chatters, thank you for being here. It has been a pleasure to see all your comments. Oh, I mute that again. It has been a pleasure to see you here. Hope to have you again next time, and thanks for enjoying the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
And then I was about to end the stream. I should play the
That almost worked.
Outro. Yeah, it almost worked.
Professional.
Yeah, very,
slick.
very, yeah.
Slick as weasel shit.
Yeah, here it is.